Vande Guru Ishabhakta Isha Prakasham Sveta Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Samjakam Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodika Gauralaya Pushpavanto Chitra Chando So this chapter, 14, describes Lord Chaitanya's Vrindavan pastimes. And we find in our disciplic succession, coming down from Madhavendra Puri, who introduced the feelings of separation, where he showed the symptoms of separation from the Lord even as he was leaving the world. He was okay, thank you. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, had come and showed the full meaning of those feelings that Madhavendra Puri had first shown to the world as he was leaving the world. He had called out, "Oh my Lord, I wasn't able to attain you." Great lamentation. It's described as the pinnacle, that is the separation from Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasized, and Jagannath Puri is known as Vipralamba Kshetra. Vipralamba meaning separation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas at 24 years old, had gone to Jagannath Puri. It was an arrangement with his dear mother. He had met at Vaisesika's house. After he took sannyas, he wandered as a madman might wander without any direction. He was falsely directed to the Vaisesika's house by Nityananda Prabhu, who had told cowherd boys nearby, if he asked which direction in Vrindavan, tell him that way. And Mahaprabhu had arrived there, and he had then thought that the Ganga there was the Jamuna, so he dove in, and then he subsequently saw Vaisesika arriving on a boat. And he said, "What are you doing here in Vrindavan?" And Vaisesika said, "Wherever you are, Lord, is Vrindavan." And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then became aware that, as he had said, he had been cheated. Nityananda cheated me, you've all cheated me. There at Vaisesika's house, however, there was a great meeting and a decision by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the request of his mother, that he stay in Jagannath Puri as his base. Because everyone reasoned that Puri and Navadvip were two rooms in the same house. People were always coming and going between them. And of course we know when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed there for 24 years in Puri, every year the devotees would come from Navadvip to meet him there, and they'd stay for several months just having festivals. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah.
The devotees come here from many places on buses and airplanes. You can stay for 3 months also and just have a festival. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to South India several times, traveled, he went to Vrindavan. He received a note from Advaita Acharya, and the note said that there's enough rice in the marketplace, it's saturated. Everyone's achieved your purpose of attaining love of God. He said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had heard the note, and he remarked, he said, he calls the deity to come, and then he asks them to leave. And everyone wondered what that meant. Swarup Damodar knew what it meant, that he pretended that he did it, and he asked, what does it mean? And Swarup Damodar became a little morose, and others were bewildered. What did it mean? But immediately afterwards, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's demeanor and his mood changed completely. He, as Kaviraj Goswami said, then engaged in practically mad performances every day in the company of Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar. There in the Gambhira. Gambhira means deep, although it's a tiny little room. There's a way in which he had gone into the deepest levels of separation from Krishna, which was his very purpose in coming. We know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come as Yuga Avatar. Yuga Avatar comes anyway. Oftentimes it's an empowered jiva who comes to spread the Yuga Dharma. Yuga Dharma is presented by the mercy of the Lord in every age. But this time, Mahaprabhu had his own purposes, or the Lord had his own purposes. Narpita charim chirat karana yavatirna kalam samarpayitum natovadvar rasam bhakti Hari purata sundara diti kadamna samvita sadhara kandare spiratu vasa chinandana. As Rupa Goswami describes how the Lord, who's a person, and felt that the world needs to know my personality beyond just an understanding of the Supreme Spirit or the all-pervading Brahman or even the majestic Lord in Vaikuntha. He should know my real life. And he wanted to distribute that to the world, the spontaneous love of the residents of Vrindavan. He also had his own internal purposes. Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidusho Vanayaya Swadyoyena Bhuta Madhurima Kidusho Vanayaya Saukyam Chasya Madhan Bhavata Kidrisham Vedi Lovatad Bhavata Samajani Sachigarva Sundar Varani. He wanted to understand what he couldn't. How can God not understand something? What is it that he couldn't understand? Atheists say, can he make a rock that he can't lift? Is there a situation he can't understand? And there is a way in which Krishna admits, Napareham, there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that there is something I can't understand, nor can I reciprocate. As Krishna declared boldly and loudly in the Bhagavad Gita, Yeyata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmano tante manusha partasarvashva. I'm equal to everyone and I reward everyone according to their desires. But then there comes a time in the pastimes of Krishna with his most dear devotees in Vrindavan that he says, you'll have to be satisfied with your own love because I can't comprehend it. Therefore, he says, I'll come myself and try to taste it. And that's how he comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on that mission. The Yuga Dharma, that's just incidental. And teaching Raganuga Bhakti, the spontaneous love that the devotees have for him in Vrindavan and how to ascend to that position through the process of devotional service, sadhana bhakti, to bhava bhakti, to prema bhakti in this lifetime. This became also one of the topics, but his innermost desire was to taste that love. And now we get a glimpse into that in his pastimes in Jagannath Puri, where he's experiencing the love of the gopis in Vrindavan in the company of Subdhamara Ramananda Roy. And of course, there in Puri, he goes to Tilta Gopinath. He's meeting Gadadhar Pandit there regularly, every day, to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And he's digging in the sand there. Is there enough oxygen? You have enough? Digging in the sand, he discovers the deity. He asks Gadadhar Pandit to worship the Lord there. Daily he would come and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruv Maharaj, again and again, hundreds of times. He had Gadadhar Pandit read to him. Mahaprabhu had a difficult time reading because his eyes were so filled with tears. In fact, he described how he destroyed several shastras and copies of Bhagavatam. With his tears, he also became frustrated trying to do puja because his emotions would come up so much and his tears were so profuse that it was hard for him to perform any of those types of activities. He would sit and listen to Gadadhar Pandit sing on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we go to the performance of the Vrindavan pastimes is all taking place within Puri. And I'll read a few verses. Dressing himself as a Vaishnav, Maharaj Prataparudra entered the garden of Balagandhi. alone, and began reciting verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. He then took the opportunity to massage the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord, in his ecstatic love for Krishna, immediately embraced the king and thus bestowed mercy upon him. When there was an offering of prasadam in the garden, Lord Chaitanya also partook of it. After this, when Lord Jagannath's Rath car stopped moving, King Prataparudra called for many elephants to pull it, but they were unsuccessful. Seeing this, Lord Chaitanya began to push the car from behind with his head, and the car began moving. Then the devotees began pulling the car with ropes. Near the Gunicha temple is a place known as Aitota. This place was fixed up for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to rest in. When Lord Jagannath was seated at Sundarachala, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw it as Vrindavan. He performed sporting pastimes in the water of the lake known as Indrajumna. For 9 continuous days during Rath Yatra, the Lord remained at Sundarachala. And on the 5th day, he and Surab Damodar observed the pastimes of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. During that time, there was much talk about the pastimes of the gopis. When the Rath was again being drawn by the chanting resumed, 2 devotees from Kulina Gram, Ramananda Vasu and Satyaraj Khan, were requested to bring silk ropes every year for the Rath Yatra ceremony. Accompanied by his personal devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the festival known as Lakshmi Vijayotsav. There he discussed the super excellent love of the gopis. Just by hearing about them, he became very pleased and danced in great ecstatic love for the Lord. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu leaves his temple, he leaves Lakshmi there and goes to Vrindavan, which is the Gudicha Mandir. And Lakshmi Devi at some point becomes exasperated and comes there to chastise her husband and all the associates and berates them and so forth, and brings her opulence. And there's a great festival that's also performed in the recounting of the rasa between Krishna in Dwarka and Krishna in Vrindavan, and the moods of his queens of Dwarka and also the gopis of Vrindavan. Text 2. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Gaurachandra. Known as who? All glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. To whom? All glories to Advaitacharya, who is so exalted. All glories to all the devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur. All glories to the readers, Haribol, who have taken Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as their life and soul. If you've taken Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as your life and soul, say Haribol. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was resting in ecstatic love, Maharaj Prataparudra entered the garden. Following Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's instructions, the king had given up his royal dress. He now entered the garden in the dress of a Vaishnava. Purport. Sometimes members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, especially in the Western countries, find it difficult to approach people to distribute books because people are unfamiliar with the traditional saffron robes of the devotees. The devotees have therefore inquired whether they can wear European and American dress before the general public. From the instructions given to King Prataparudra by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, we can understand that we may change our dress in any way to facilitate our service. When our members change their dress to meet the public or to introduce our books, they are not breaking the devotional principles. The real principle is to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. What's the real principle? Correct. And if one has to change into regular Western dress for this purpose, there should be no objection. Maharaj Prataparudra was so humble that with folded hands he first took permission from all the devotees. Then with great courage he fell down and touched the lotus feet of the Lord. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lay on the raised platform with his eyes closed and in ecstatic love and emotion, The king very expertly began to massage his legs. The king began to recite verses about the Rasa Lila from Srimad Bhagavatam. He recited the chapter beginning with the words Jayati Te Dikam. These verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 31, constitute what is known as the Gopi Gita. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these verses, he was pleased beyond limits. And he said again and again, go on reciting, go on reciting. As soon as the king recited the verse beginning with the words Tavakatam Ritam, the Lord arose in ecstatic love and embraced him. Tavakatam Ritam, Tavakatam recited by the king, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you have given me invaluable gems, but I have nothing to give you in return. Therefore, I am simply embracing you. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to recite the same verse again and again. Both the king and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were trembling and tears were flowing from their eyes. My Lord, the nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those who are always aggrieved in this material world. These narrations are transmitted by exalted personalities, and they eradicate all sinful reactions. Whoever hears these narrations attains all good fortune. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Those who spread the message of Godhead are certainly the most munificent welfare workers. From Bhagavatam 10:31-9. After reciting this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately embraced the king and cried, you are the most munificent, you are the most munificent. At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not know who the king was. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy was aroused because of the king's previous service. Therefore, without even asking who he was, the Lord immediately bestowed his mercy upon him. Edhika Chaitanyara Kripa Mahapal Tar Anusandhan Vina Karaya Sapal. Chant. Edhika Chaitanyara Kripa Mahapal Tar Anusandhana Vina Karaya Sapal. Just see, Chaitanyara, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kripa Mahabal. How greatly powerful is the mercy. Tara Anusandhana, inquiring about him. Vina, without. Raya, he makes. Sapal, successful. How powerful is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Without even inquiring about the king, the Lord made everything successful. Are you ready for a purport?
Yes.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is so powerful that it acts automatically. If a person renders loving service to Krishna, it never goes in vain. It is recorded in a spiritual account, and in due time it will fructify. This is confirmed by Bhagavad Gita 240. Neha Vikramanam Shosti Adavayam Vidyate Savam Yasya Tate Matobhaya. In this endeavor there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has particularly bestowed upon all fallen souls in this age the most potent method of devotional service, Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the Lord's holy name. And whoever takes to it through the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is immediately elevated to the transcendental position. As Srimad Bhagavatam 11.532 recommends, Yajnai Sankirtane Praya Vijatihi Sunedasa. A student of Krishna consciousness must receive Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. What must the student do? Then his devotional service will quickly succeed. This was the case with King Prataparudra. One has to be noticed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and a little service with sincere efforts will convince the Lord that one is a proper candidate for returning home back to Godhead. At first, Maharaj Prataparudra did not have a chance to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but when the Lord saw that the king was serving Lord Jagannath as a menial sweeper, the Lord's mercy upon the king became a solid fact. What did it become? Solid fact. When Maharaj Prataparudra, in the dress of a Vaishnava, was serving the Lord did not even inquire who he was. Rather, he had compassion upon him and embraced him. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami wants to point out that nothing could compare to the Lord's mercy toward Maharaj Prataparudra. Therefore, he uses the word Deka, Jesse, and Chaitanyara Kripa Mahabal. Chaitanyara Kripa Mahabal. How powerful is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? This is also confirmed by Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Yat Karunyat Katakshan Bhagavam Vatam from the Chaitanya Chandamrita, number 5. Even a little of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy serves as a great asset for spiritual advancement. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement must be spread through the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Rupa Goswami experienced the mercy and magnanimity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Namo Mahamanaya Krishna 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 Chaitanya Name Gaura Trishe Rama. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is more magnanimous than any other avatar, even Krishna himself, because he is bestowing freely what no one else has ever given, pure love of Krishna. Srila Loshan Das Thakur has also sung, Parama Karuna Pahundri Yajana Nitai Gaurachandra. The two brothers, Nitai and Gaura, are so kind that no one can compare to them. Similarly, Srila Narottam Das Thakur has said, Rajendra Nandana Jay Shachisu Kahoyase Balaram Dina Hina Yakachila Harinama Udarila Just to deliver all the sinful persons of this age by propagating the chanting of the holy name, Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram have invented as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, Jagai and Madhya, evidence of their success. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mission is the deliverance of all fallen souls in Kali Yuga. Devotees of Krishna must persistently seek the favor and mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to become fit to return home back to Godhead. Purva Seva Deki. He sees the Purva Seva, he mentions this, the previous service of Prataparudra Maharaj. And if we go on a search for what was that service, we see that although he was the king of Puri, he had served Ramananda Roy. And Ramananda Roy had a need to retire from his position. He was a governor. And serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. His Mahaprabhu said, why don't you just come to Puri? After they met at Kavur, they had this exchange. It was precipitated by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya after his conversion, telling Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu I had met previously this great devotee named Ramananda Roy. Please do not miss the opportunity to meet with him when you go on your tour. Previously, Sarvabhauma Acharya had been a dry philosopher, a Mayavadi, and was converted by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he told Mahaprabhu that I didn't understand the mood and position of Ramananda Roy. Please meet him. And of course, Mahaprabhu had, on his tour, met with Ramananda Roy. They had embraced and checked their emotions because they noticed that there were many government servants around who were serving Ramananda Roy. But to speak of others who could not understand how it was, and especially at that time, it's hard for us to understand, those of us who live here in California, what would be wrong with a sannyasi embracing a governor. But there were strict rules of etiquette at that time. And the onlookers were quite amazed that this was taking place. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu checked his emotions, as did Ramananda Roy. Mahaprabhu had recommended to him, why don't you just quit your job and join me in Jagannath Puri. And Ramananda Roy, in requesting the king, in whose employ he was, Ramananda Roy, or the king, had given him a full pension, no reduction in his income, but he was fully retired. He said, please, this is the most worthy cause. You go and serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. So, Ramananda Roy, of course, noticed right away the enthusiasm of Prataparuja to give him full facility to worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sarvabhauma Acharya was the guru of Prataparuja. Sarvabhauma Acharya, Gauragona Desha Dipika says, is the incarnation of Brihaspati. And Prataparuja was very much devoted to him, so much so that when Sarvabhauma had his conversion, he came to know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know the pastime, and many have been to the home of Sarvabhauma Acharya, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested his Sadbhuj form. And Sarvabhauma then became a great lover of the Lord, even wanting to change one of the words in the Bhagavatam, because he thought it sounded Mayavadi. And Mahaprabhu said, no, you can't do that. You just have to think of it in a different way. Mukte Pade means that the lotus feet of the Lord. And he, Sarvabhauma Acharya, had then told Prataparuja Maharaj that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada mentions that this is the way of disciplic succession. He had taken the direction of his guru, and Prataparuja Maharaj had become fully devoted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that way. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard from Sarvabhauma that the king had requested that, please, I have to have audience with the Lord, Sarvabhauma Acharya relayed that message to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, rather delicate topic, as he knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to maintain the etiquette of sannyas, which would include not meeting a king. And Sarvabhauma said, I would like to make a proposal. You may accept or not accept, according to your mood. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I won't know until you tell me. Please tell me. And he said, the king has requested an audience with you. He's so dedicated and such a great devotee of yours. But Mahaprabhu, upon hearing the word king, then had abhorred the word and the concept of him meeting a king. He said, not possible. You cannot meet a king. And later, when Ramananda had come to Puri after his retirement, he had gone straight to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And even he then mentioned the king. He said, I've come here because Ramananda Roy gave me a full salary, pension. And also he said, he's a better devotee than I am.